And listen, here's the other thing. Coaches don't see anything. I don't see everything. You have to be able to look in the mirror, or if you're with somebody else in the program, say, hey, hey, Nick, get your hand up. Who should tell you have a bad habit? Coach. Right, your coach should tell you. Sometimes it's hard. But you know where else you can figure out, you know where else is really important in boxing? Every gym in boxing has them. My man here is more familiar with them than any athlete I've ever met in my life. And what are we talking about? The mirror, right? He can't walk by one without getting a look. I know, right? Right? That's where you look in the mirror when you shadow box. When we start saying, you start learning these skills and you want to learn these correctly and you want to do them on your own. If you do them without any context, if you do them in there, you can't feel it sometimes. You can't feel that you're making mistakes, right? You can look at yourself and make corrections. If your hand's down like this, right? At this stage in your career, that would be wrong. Maybe after you have 20 fights and we've worked some things out and we figured out that your hand can be down here like this because this serves you best. This expresses your athleticism and your style and your temperament. But for right now, and you can make those corrections all the time, okay? All the time in the mirror. Who else is usually in the gym? Another guy, right? Another athlete. You learn by teaching, okay? You learn by teaching. When you have responsibility for yourself, it's one context. When you have responsibility for somebody else, it's another context, okay? Lots of people learn best about themselves by teaching other people. You can use the mirror, you can use your coach, right? You can use another athlete. And let's say none of those are available and you're not sure you're doing it right. This is very important. Stop doing it and wait till you get with your coach again, all right? The worst thing in the world that you can do is build a bad habit. When you have a bad habit, it's almost impossible to fix a bad habit. The only thing you can really do is replace it with another habit, and that takes time, and that's a lot of wasted time. So if you have something you're not sure about, and Randall isn't around, and the mirrors in your place are broken, and you can't do anything, you can't find anything, then just wait till the next practice. Say, Coach, I think I'm feeling a little odd about this. Can you help me out? You're gonna take one step at a time. Don't try and lose them, and you're gonna follow it, okay? We're gonna put this to the test. Go ahead, Q. Now, if you want to pivot, you have to step and pivot. Okay, so before we go, step and pivot. Okay, now you're going to have to take a step and pivot. Okay, and you have to make sure that your orientation is the same. So what is a proper orientation? Okay. Take that hand out. That's your orientation. Okay, that's your orientation. Okay, bring it back down. Okay. If it's like this, Freddie, which you like to be, you like to put that foot over there. Put that foot over there, like a little block here. No, come out here where I see you the other time. Put your foot out. There you go. Because you're trying to get that shoulder up to throw that right hand. Look how square. He can't miss, Freddie. He's still, look at him. You got to get right. But he can't miss. Jesus, you've given him a whole body to punch, right? There are times when that's okay, right? But not right now. Go back to your proper stance, right? That's your orientation, right like that, right? Very narrow, very precise. Anytime you're like this, you're giving up too much early. This is what we're willing to give the other guy. This is what we want to take, all right? If he gives us more, then we'll take more. But for right now, this is the orientation I want, okay? Go down, okay? Go ahead, Freddie. You lead and you follow, Q. Good. Look at their feet. Right? Look at their feet. If I draw a line from toe to toe, there's a natural channel in there. Does everybody see that natural channel that exists right here? Does everybody see it? That natural channel, you want to maintain that channel. Okay? Then during the course of the fight, depending upon whether you want to get closer or further away. So Connor, if I was fighting you, you'd want to be further away. You could hit me from the other side of the ring, right? we're working on our fundamentals. We want to be aware of our relationship. That's all. We want to be aware of the distance between us so that later you can manage the distance between you. If you're not aware of it, the other person is just going to sneak up on you. But to manage distance, you have to be aware of what the proper distance is, right? And for right now, we're just trying to figure out, okay, this is a distance that we're going to maintain. We're going to maintain this distance so you become aware of it. Besides the battle of the mind, what's the first fight that takes place? The first battle in the ring is the battle of space, right? The battle of space. Whose fight? At what distance are we going to fight? We're going to fight at his distance, or we're going to fight at his distance, right? That's the first thing that happens. If I'm fighting you, right, and I'm winning the battle of space, I'm going to be in tight like this. I'm going to deleverage him and do all kinds of things that the big guy can't do when he's close, right? But if he wins the battle of space, I got to figure out how to get through that minefield to get to him, that minefield of right and left hands and uppercuts, right? So you have to learn how to manage space. And you have to learn how to manage the space between you. This is the first step to just understand that this battle's taking place, okay? And listen, here's the other thing. Coaches don't see anything. I don't see everything. You have to be able to look in the mirror, or if you're with somebody else in the program, say, hey, hey, Nick, get your hand up. He's not being a jerk. He's trying to help you out, but you do it as well, right? Teach somebody, get in the mirror, wait for a coach, get with another player, another fighter, or just wait until the next practice and we'll work on it, okay? Don't do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? And then have a bad habit and then come to your coach and go, Coach, I can't get my hand up. And then we have to go all the way back. We have to pick up a new habit to replace it with, and you're going to be very frustrated, okay? So you went like this at a nice stance, step forward. That's what you do. You speak with your hands, right? Your feet and your hands are connected. Step forward. You go like this, step back. Okay? You drop your hand every single time you step. Every single time you drop your hand, you cycle your hand, right? Not a big deal in here. Nobody's getting beaten up right now, right? What do you take to your fights? Your habits, good or bad. We have a fight coming up. We have film on the other guy. What do we study? His habits, his tendencies, right? We look at the type of fighter he is, of course, or she is, and we look at what they do, but we study their tendencies and we study their habits. And then when we see a habit, that's where we set up the traps, right? We get them to do the things they want to do. We want them to make the mistakes that they're willing to make. So just be aware of it, okay? Just be aware of it. Let's do it again. Go ahead, you guys, go ahead. Stop. Did anybody notice what he did on the very first one? He did it again, right? What do you take to your fights? Your habits. I'm not saying that's a deal killer. You're a good fighter, you know that, right? I'm not saying that that's a deal killer. What I'm saying is you got a habit that I just noticed, okay? Try not to cycle your hands. Not a big deal, not a big deal. Go ahead. Now he's overcompensating, but that's all right. The rules to stepping, right? The foot that's closest to the direction you're moving is the foot that moves first. The second step is always equal in size to the first. You bring your head down to your hands, not your hands up to your chin, right? You bring your head down into your hands like this. You look out of the top of your eyes. Put your chin down and look out of the top of your eyes. Everybody notice that you miss up here? What's important up here in a fight? Nothing, right? Make sure you're looking like this out of the top of your eye. Doesn't matter. But the point of this whole thing is that we don't want this, right? We don't want your chin up like this. We don't want your chin profile to be above your shoulder. Everybody see that? It's too easy to get hit, clip. You want yourself nice and tucked in like this, okay? And I recognize, and we recognize that as you start going through your athletic movements and you start moving around, that your body's constantly in motion, changing itself, right? And sometimes you'll go in and out of technique, right? Just based on the mechanics of the movements you're doing. That's not the point. The point is, right, is that you're conscious of where you should be at all times. This is your habit. That you're constantly coming back to what's strong and sturdy and structured and safe. Okay? That we're not at a sort of form all the time trying to get back. We're always in form. And when we get out, we come back naturally. Our habit is to come back to our position naturally.